great example. The third mistake is comparing yourself constantly to other people. Social media makes this problem worse. You see someone speaking perfect English, and suddenly you feel terrible about yourself. But comparison steals your energy. Your journey is different from everyone else's journey. Here's another incorrect versus correct example. Incorrect? Why am I not fluent already? Correct? I'm improving step by step. Another mistake is believing failure means the end. Oh, yes. Some learners miss 1 week of practice and think, well, I failed. It's over. But failure is normal. Real growth includes mistakes, breaks, frustration, and restarting. Let's make this funny for a moment. I once bought a beautiful notebook for studying English. For 2 days, my handwriting looked amazing. On day 3, I stopped studying completely, but I still opened the notebook sometimes just to admire how beautiful it looked. That is honestly so relatable. Sometimes we love preparing more than actually doing the work. Exactly. Buying pens feels productive, but real progress comes from daily practice.
That's such an important lesson.
So in this section, we talked about restarting after failure, useful emotional expressions, supportive language, and how consistency helps during difficult times too.
All right, now let's talk about some common mistakes people make when trying to become consistent.
Oh yes, and honestly, I've made almost all of these mistakes myself.
Same here. The first common mistake is trying to do too much too quickly.
Exactly. People say things like, tomorrow I'll wake up at 5 a.m., study English for 4 hours, exercise, read 2 books, and stop using social media forever.
And after 3 days, they feel exhausted and quit everything.
Right. So instead of making huge changes, make smaller, sustainable changes.
Here's incorrect versus correct usage. Incorrect thinking. If I can't do everything perfectly, I shouldn't do anything. Correct thinking. Small progress still matters.
Another mistake is depending completely on motivation.
Yes, motivation is emotional. Some mornings you wake up excited. Other mornings you don't want to leave your bed.
So instead of saying, I'll study when I feel motivated, it's better to say, I'll study at the same time every day.
And here's another natural phrase. One step at a time. People say this when problems feel overwhelming.
Let's create a realistic dialogue. Harry, imagine I stopped studying English because I felt discouraged.
Okay, I'd say, don't worry. Just start again one step at a time.
And I might reply, but I forgot so much English already.
Then I'd say, that's okay. Progress comes back faster than you think.
Wow, that sounds like a real conversation between friends.
Because that's how people actually speak. Real English is emotional, supportive, and simple.
Let's talk about politeness too. Sometimes when people struggle, they don't want aggressive motivation. They want kindness.
Very true. Instead of saying, you're lazy, it's kinder to say, maybe you just need rest. Tone matters so much.
Yes, your tone changes the feeling completely.
Listeners, here's a mini practice. Imagine your friend wants to quit learning English. What would you say to encourage them? Speak your answer out loud.
Maybe you could say, you're improving more than you realize. Or don't compare yourself to others.
Comparison is dangerous. People look at fluent speakers and think, I'll never become that good. But they forget those fluent speakers were beginners once too.
Exactly. Every expert was once confused, nervous, and slow.
And honestly, consistency often looks boring. It's repeating simple actions every day. But boring actions create extraordinary results.
Listeners, please remember this. You don't need to feel confident before starting. Confidence usually comes after repeated action. Now, let's move into another important part of consistency. How to continue when life becomes difficult. Oh, wow. This part is emotional. because life really does become difficult sometimes.
It does. And nobody talks enough about those moments. Social media shows success, confidence, and perfect routines. But behind every successful person, there are difficult mornings, lonely nights, failures, and doubts.
I remember a difficult period in my life when I felt completely stuck. I was tired all the time, stressed about work, and honestly, losing confidence in myself.
And did you stop everything?
For a while, yes. I stopped exercising, I stopped practicing English speaking, I stopped journaling. And the strange thing was, stopping made me feel even worse.
Wow, that's so true. Sometimes the habits that help us the most are the first things we abandon during stressful times.
Exactly. But then I realized something important. I didn't need to be perfect. I just needed to restart.
That word is powerful. Restart.
Yes, listeners, maybe you quit something important. Maybe you stopped learning English months ago. Maybe you lost confidence. But restarting is always possible.
Let's teach some useful expressions connected to difficult times. We can say, I'm going through a hard time, or I've been feeling unmotivated lately.
Here are more examples. I lost my routine. I'm trying to get back on track. I feel stuck. These are extremely common expressions in daily English.
I'd say, I'm trying to build a better morning routine, so I wake up 30 minutes earlier every day.
Nice. And if you fail one morning?
Then I'd say, it's okay. I'll try again tomorrow.
Perfect answer. That attitude is so important.
Now, let's give listeners 3 simple tips for consistency. First, start small. Don't try to change everything at once.
Second, focus on routine, not motivation. Motivation changes every day, but routines create stability.
Third, forgive yourself quickly after mistakes. Don't waste energy hating yourself.
That last one is powerful. Many people fail because they become too negative after one mistake.
Exactly. Progress becomes impossible when you constantly criticize yourself.
Listeners, we'd love to know your daily habits. What small thing are you trying to improve right now? Maybe drinking more water, studying English, reading books, or sleeping earlier. Share it in the comments.
And remember, you don't need dramatic progress every day. Quiet progress still matters.
Absolutely. So, in this section, we learned that habits are stronger than motivation. Small routines create big changes, and simple daily actions can completely transform your future.
Exactly. After 1 year, his English became much better than before. Not because he studied harder, but because he studied consistently.
Listeners, this is a great lesson. Sometimes we try to change our whole life overnight, but small habits are easier to continue.
Let's practice some useful expressions connected to habits. We can say, I'm trying to build a routine, or I'm working on becoming more disciplined.
Great expressions. Here are more examples. She's creating better habits. He's improving little by little. We're focusing on long-term progress.
Notice how natural these phrases sound. Native speakers often talk this way instead of using very formal language.
Speaking of formal language, let's compare formal and informal expressions. Informally, people say, keep going. Very simple. But formally, someone might say, remain committed to your goals.
Another informal phrase is don't quit now. A more formal version could be persistence is important for success.
Honestly, in daily conversation, people usually prefer the simpler versions.
Definitely. Simplicity sounds more natural. And listeners, don't worry about using complicated English. Clear English is powerful English.
Let's do a quick practice activity. Harry, imagine you want to start waking up early. What would you say?
Let's quickly review this section. Consistency means regular action over time. We learn structures like continue doing, even when, and don't give up.
Most importantly, small daily actions matter more than big actions done only once.
Exactly. Keep showing up, even slowly, because slow progress is still progress.
Now, let's build on this idea with real-life situations, because consistency becomes more meaningful when we connect it to everyday life.
Yes, sometimes people hear motivational quotes and feel excited for 1 hour, but real life is different. Real life is messy. You're tired after work, your family needs you, your phone distracts you, your motivation disappears.
That's true. And honestly, motivation is unreliable. Some days you feel amazing. Some days you feel terrible. That's why habits are more important than feelings.
That sentence is really important. Habits are more important than feelings.
Let me tell you a small story. A friend of mine wanted to learn English fluently. Every January, he made huge plans. He bought expensive courses. He studied 8 hours a day for 1 week. Then he became exhausted and quit.
Ugh, that happens so often.
But 1 year, he changed his strategy completely. Instead of studying 8 hours, he studied only 20 minutes every day. That's it, just 20 minutes. But he never skipped.
And let me guess, that's when he improved the most.
That structure is powerful because real consistency happens during difficult moments. Anybody can work hard when they feel excited, but consistency means continuing even when you feel lazy, bored, or discouraged.
Let's practice together. Harry, can you give me a sentence about learning English?
Sure, I continue listening to English podcasts even when I don't understand every word.
Nice. And listeners, try making your own sentence. Use even when. Maybe say, I continue, and finish the sentence yourself.
Now let's talk about negative forms, because learners need those too. We can say, I don't give up easily, or she doesn't stop trying. These are very natural expressions.
Here are more examples. We don't quit after one bad day. He doesn't lose hope. They don't stop learning.
And I really love the phrase one bad day, because many people quit after one bad day. They miss one workout, then quit forever. They make one English mistake, then stop speaking completely.
Yes, but one bad day doesn't destroy your progress. One lazy day is normal. The important thing is returning the next day.
Listeners, here's a question for you. When you make a mistake, do you become more motivated or less motivated? Be honest. Write your answer in the comments.
And remember, consistency doesn't mean perfection. It means returning again and again.
Let's look at a very easy structure first. Subject plus continue plus verb ing. For example, I continue practicing English. She continues waking up early. They continue working hard.
Great examples. Let me give listeners a few more. He continues exercising every morning. We continue learning from our mistakes. My friend continues applying for jobs. Sarah continues improving for pronunciation.
Pronunciation practice is a great example. Sometimes English learners feel frustrated because improvement feels slow. But language learning is exactly like planting a tree. You water it every day, but for a long time, you don't see anything. Then one day, suddenly, it grows.
Wow, that's such a beautiful example. And listeners, remember this. Consistency is often invisible in the beginning. You don't see results immediately.
Exactly. I remember when I first started exercising, for the first month, I saw almost no change. I wanted to quit so badly. Every morning I thought, why am I doing this? But then after 2 months, I felt healthier. After 3 months, I had more energy. The results came slowly.
That reminds me of when I started reading English books. At first, it was painful. I needed a dictionary every 5 minutes. I felt stupid sometimes. But I kept reading, little by little. And now I can enjoy English novels naturally.
Listeners, can you think of something in your life that became easier because you practiced consistently? Say your answer out loud right now. Speaking out loud helps your confidence so much. Listeners, can you think of something in your life that became easier because you practiced consistently? Say your answer out loud right now. Speaking out loud helps your confidence so much.
And here's another useful sentence structure: even when. For example, I study English even when I feel tired. She practices speaking even when she feels nervous.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Simple English Talks. We're so happy you're here with us today. No matter where you're listening from, maybe you're on a bus, maybe you're cooking dinner, maybe you're studying English late at night after a long day at work, we just want to say thank you for spending your time with us. Today's episode is going to feel very personal, very honest, and maybe a little emotional too, because we're talking about something that every single person struggles with at some point in life, and that is consistency.
Oh, yes. This topic is so important. And honestly, I think almost everyone wants to become more consistent. People start learning English with excitement, they start exercising, they start reading books, they start waking up early. But after a few days or maybe a few weeks, they stop. And then they feel disappointed in themselves.
Exactly. And you know what? I've experienced this too. There was a time when I wanted to improve my English speaking skills. I downloaded apps, bought notebooks, watched videos, and promised myself, this time I'll never quit. But after 10 days, I became lazy. I skipped one day, then another day, and slowly I stopped completely.
I think listeners can really relate to that. Sometimes people think successful people are always motivated, but that's not true. Most successful people simply continue, even when they don't feel motivated.
That's such an important point. So today, we're not only practicing English together, but we're also learning a life lesson through story and conversation. By the end of this episode, you'll learn useful English expressions about habits, motivation, goals, discipline, and daily routines. And hopefully, you'll also feel inspired to keep going in your own life.
And we want to ask you something before we begin. What is one thing you started but stopped doing? Maybe learning English, going to the gym, reading books, or waking up early. Write your answer in the comments because we really love reading your stories.
And if you enjoy learning English in this relaxed and natural way, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Simple English Talks, and share this episode with someone who needs motivation today.
All right, then, let's sit down together, relax, and talk about the power of consistency and why you should never quit too early.
All right, let's begin with a simple idea. Consistency means doing something regularly, again and again.